Emma, firstly, thanks for joining us. A lot has happened since the last time we spoke, and we'll start by discussing the under-20s friendlies fixtures programme. First fixture, of course, took place against Liverpool towards the end of last year. Firstly, how did that go?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity to play a different opposition. I think both in terms for some of our younger players, but also an opportunity for some of the first team players to get some minutes, maybe Eva, trialling things and giving player the opportunity to play. So I think having a mixture of our loan players, the first team and under 17s players, it was a really good mix. And I think it was an opportunity for some of the younger players to learn a little bit about Eva and Pascal's style, how they want to play. And I thought it was a really positive performance. All the girls felt like they got a lot out of that experience. So sometimes it can be about, just the young players getting the opportunity. But in this occasion, I think all three sort of age groups really benefited from that fixture. And a huge thanks for Liverpool for travelling up, because I think it's important we start to play some of the top opposition down south as well.
You described the fixture with Liverpool as a monumental moment for the academy and for the women's team. These are things that we'll have covered prior to the match itself, but now, of course, speaking after it. Can you already see the kind of benefits of it?
Yeah, you could feel the occasion itself. You could feel that it was a first for a lot of people. We celebrated that as well. You could see that how important it was for the first team players and the young players coming up. And there was, conversations with 17-year-olds and maybe some of our slightly older 21-year-olds. So it was really nice to see. And I think a lot of people benefited from it. I think even in terms of the coaching staff, we had our academy staff in working with the first team staff, and it just brings the whole club together. So aside from the football, I think just having that club unity, it really helps support that. So yeah, it was a huge occasion for us, and one that we want to keep producing, but obviously trying to make sure that we get the right opposition and we do it at the right times as well, and managing loading.
You mentioned producing those moments. What are the plans for the under-20s friendlies fixtures programme between now and the end of the season?
Yeah, so it's really important that we continue to keep getting these fixtures in the calendar. It's important that there's another couple of Scottish teams also doing the under-20s fixtures, so we're looking to play Glasgow City in March, which is already in the calendar, and again a top side that we want our young players to play against. They've also got some young talent in their squad, so we'll be playing them. But we're also looking at not just fixtures, but our under-20s coming in and playing bounce games with the first team. So we've got a fixture organised as well in February during the international break, where our younger players will come up and play against the first team as well. So as much as we're doing a lot of internal work, we're still working on more external fixtures as well.
Moving on to our loan players, we of course have a number of academy players out on loan at the moment. Can you just bring us up to speed with how they're getting on, starting with the guys at Spartans?
Yeah, we've obviously got a contingent at Spartans, so it's nice, and we actually did some loan reviews with the players themselves, and actually they talked about the benefit of having another sort of teammate that goes on loan with them. It's been really positive. The feedback's been great. You can see that Spartans have benefited from having those players. Our average minutes in the games are sitting at 92% minutes wise in terms of the loan players. So yeah, we've had assists, we've had goals at Spartans. I think all of our players at Spartans have assisted or scored goals. They're making a huge contribution to the club. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for them to play in the top league, get experience, and also learning opportunities, and still feeling part of the special football club that they all fed back that they definitely felt like they were still part of the Hearts Football Club, which was critical to us as well.
And of course it's not just Spartans that we've got players on loan at.
Yeah, we've obviously got Freya and Ashley at Dundee United. Again, we talked about the challenges that they've got at the moment in terms of where they're at in the league, but both are enjoying that challenge and are willing to contribute to help Dundee United get out of that situation. Again, we've seen at the weekend in the Scottish Cup, Freya assisting Ashley Robertson for a goal, and again that's huge for us. They're not only going into these SWPL1 clubs as squad players, but they're contributing week in and week out, and again both are getting minutes on the pitch, and that's important for us to develop our young talent. So yeah, they're representing our club really well out on loan, and hopefully that continues for them.
You've obviously got Beth saving a penalty in that game as well, and of course with these teams being part-time, of course the players get to come in and train in this environment with the squad a couple of times a week as well.
Yeah, that's vitally important to us. I think Bridging the Gap project was about making sure that they were getting challenged and experienced, but also having an environment where they're still getting what they were getting previously. There's a lot of clubs, obviously, just due to finances or other reasons, that maybe can't train as often as what we even do here in a first team environment. So they all come back for a top-up session where we obviously train, give them food, and we do a little bit of education as well. So I think the feedback from all players is that it's been hugely beneficial, and we're still giving them opportunities to come in with the first team to train as well. So ensuring that they're still keeping that standards really high while also getting the experience of playing in the top leagues is exactly what we wanted, and I think they're thriving in that situation.
The latest Scotland under-19 squad was announced earlier in the week. I appreciate we'll have players at younger age groups as well, but it must be great to see 5 Hearts players in that under-19 squad.
Yeah, 100%. I think we don't ever measure our success on players getting into the national teams, but it's always good. We know that that's what the players themselves are probably striving towards, so we celebrate that with them, but we also ensure that they don't think that that's all we measure their success on. But yeah, exactly why we've put into place the loan agreements and them coming back into the club in this environment to keep them at the top level and playing and being representing their national team at that age group's important. So we're obviously pleased that they've been selected, and hopefully that continues if we continue to develop them as young players.
And again, it must just be another thing that you're able to kind of filter down to younger age groups within the academy, that kind of inspiration, if you like.
Yeah, I quite often say it to Andrew Webster, if you can see it, you can be it. Jess and Erin Husband obviously are the 2 inspirational young players that have done it, but equally you've got to see other players' journeys as well, because sometimes it doesn't seem realistic to step right into the first team. So these lone players are offering a different sort of inspiration in terms of what they've done to go out as brave, to go out to a different club and to challenge and to, stake your claim in an SWPL1 club. So they're an inspiration as well. So for young players to see those different journeys allows them to sort of know that there is an opportunity for them regardless how their journey is. So that's something that we want to feed back to them as well.
It wouldn't be one of our interviews if we didn't mention the husbands. Of course, you've just mentioned them there. I don't want to kind of single anyone out, but I'm going to, because of course Erin was awarded the SWPL Player of the Month back in October. Of course, a wonderful achievement for any player, let alone for someone so young. And again, just something that you can filter through to the younger girls in the academy.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you think that younger players can't step in, they lack experience, or they don't have the qualities yet. But Erin's proved everyone wrong. She stepped into an environment and not just played, but she's thrived and made it look easy at the back, and she's merited those awards. And I think even the Scotland national teams, I see Jess and Erin are also playing under 19, still eligible for under 17. So it shows that young players can do that, and Erin's a prime example, and Jess obviously as well. But I always talk about their willingness, their professionalism, and that's what the young players need to remember as well, is that it hasn't actually come easy. They've worked really hard for it and they deserve that. So it's remembering that you have to work hard for those opportunities and use the environment that you've been given to take those, and those 2 are great examples of that.
You speak about players being able to step in. We of course had a couple more debutants within the women's first team of the weekend, Orla Byrne and Ava Crawford as well. Again, excellent positive news.
Yeah, and again, they're both 09, so only 15 years old, still 2 years that they can be in the academy. So again, it shows that age, it doesn't really matter as long as you're ready physically and technically, which they both were. Great debuts as well. I think they both played extremely well, stepped into that environment with the first team. I think it helps when you've got Jess and Erin in there as well. And at one point, I think we had all 4 of them on the pitch, so 15 and 16-year-olds in that environment. And it's only going to make them better. It's only going to give them more of a sort of appetite to be there again. So that's huge for us. And I guess a huge thanks to Ava and Pascal as well for embracing our academy and giving these players the opportunities. And when you give them the opportunity, you can see that they take it and they thrive in it. You
speak about having 4 or 5 youngsters, academy graduates on the pitch for the women's first team at the same time, when there's so much talk right now in Scotland in particular, in the men's game, about having young Scottish players on the pitch for their first teams. How confident are you that within the academy we've got a number of brilliant young players that can step into that women's first team?
Yeah, I think obviously I believe that we do have that in the academy. I think we provide an environment that allows them to be physically and technically ready. Tactically, obviously, I think sometimes that can take a bit longer. But at the moment we're prioritising an investment in the younger age group. So we're lucky here at Hearts Academy to have a development squad which is pre-academy. So we're recruiting really heavily in there and making sure we get the top talents at a young age. Balerno High School as well. We're setting the bar really high in terms of at Hearts Football Club, having girls in a high school. So we've done that now for the last 2 years. So I think what we're doing now is that we're putting a lot more into the younger age groups to ensure that we're keeping up and they are ready, and so that hopefully we've got first team player ready players in the academy to step in, and obviously that's what we want and need. And I think that's something, like you said, we're analysing a lot more now. How many minutes is our young Scottish players getting in our league? So it's important that at Hearts Football Club we're showing that we're doing that.
You mentioned the end product there, which is obviously the women's first team, but of course the first step, of course, is probably the most important, really. And you mentioned the performance school as well. How important is that first step then, if you like?
Yeah, it's your first steps are really important in the academy, and it's something that we spend a lot of time on with our young players. We educate them on the importance of utilising the gym, female athlete workshops, everything that we provide for them. And you're right, if you can get it right at the youngest age group, and that's for them and us, coaches and players, if we can get it right at the youngest age group, it makes the pathway a lot easier for them. So yeah, it's something that we believe really strong in, is it like when you come into this environment, you use every tool, and we provide as many tools as possible for them to go and develop.
And just finally, with early on into 2025, what are the kind of hopes and aims and expectations for the Hearts Academy in general?
Yeah, so obviously a lot of works, we need to review what we've done in terms of this was something completely different, and I think we're doing something new, innovative. So we need to review and actually see what the benefits were. We're doing a lot of sort of data analysing in terms of the loan agreement, so we need to manage that. We need to have a lot of meetings with obviously Eva and Pascal about the direction of some of the young players. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that the pathway is ready for those that are ready to go out on loan again. And again, that's something we need to look at. So yeah, it's probably just next steps. I think the under-20s more fixtures, more probably training here within the academy. So I think there's a lot to be done here still, but when you start something new, it's easy to think about what's next, but I think we need to make sure that we prioritise making sure what we've done is right and it's as good as it can be, and then we can look at, adding new programmes or whatever it is we need to do to make the next female footballer, and that's Erin and Jess' husband in the academy.